All right, hashtag baseball only. We are back. Frank in the building. JML here. We should have name tags. What happened to the name tags? It's been so long that we're having technical difficulties to start the show.
It's been a while, guys. How's everybody's off season going? Hopefully, it's okay. I'm doing a
I
little bit
mean,
better than I was the last time I saw you guys on here. Um, but
weird.
I will remind everybody we did our last time we were on. We had our World Series preview where we were correct. I mean, you were calling all year long, but
Yeah.
so yeah. So
But then I got
just for the
accused
record, we
of.
got it right. We got it right at the end.
But remember, throughout the entire year, everyone was like, "Your Yankees are not winning the World Series," and I said, "Well, I thought the Yankees were not winning the World Series the
Right, we've been
entire
saying
year."
that.
So,
Eh.
uh,
Bulls.
well, we actually planned to record on Wednesday. We didn't know if Judge was going to sign or not. It just worked out that this morning reports are it's not official until the physical, but I'm sure he's going to pass his physical. 9 years, $360 million. Aaron Judge back with the New York Yankees. Um, I'd be honest with you, I thought he was gone. So, I mean,
Yeah, I mean, going back to our first episode, that's the first thing we talked about in here, which was that report about the Mets were interested. I believe that's what we first talked about. So yeah, going back to that, I kept
that
saying
was
I didn't think he wanted to leave, and I said as long as the money was close, I didn't think it was gonna be a problem. Yesterday, when that offer leaked, I said I think I texted you and I said, yeah, check out this offer from the Giants. I said, come on, we can't at least match that.
well. So apparently,
Sure enough,
um, Cashman. There seems to be a disconnect with the superstars of the Yankees from this 90. Was it? He took over 98 Cashman as the GM. 98 to current times. There's a disconnect between Cashman and the superstar players on the Yankees. Doesn't it seem to be the case?
yeah, for sure. Going back to what Derek Jeter said, obviously, after that negotiations he had when I believe that was after 2010 season. Yeah,
I mean, if anyone, like, we should not be thanking Cashman for this signing
no,
because by all indications, he flubbed this whole negotiation with Judge leading up to the final minutes of negotiation where Hal was locked in a room with Cashman. Hal took the phone from Cashman and said to Judge, "Do you want to be a Yankee?" He said yes. He's like, "But I really want the ninth year." Hal said, "Okay, we'll give you the 9 years. Done deal." Now, what I don't understand is it took this long and so much more money that the Yankees spent to get Judge. Why did it have to come to this, Frank?
it didn't, man. I mean, even in the spring, I mean, what was he? He wasn't asking for this much then. I think it was a thing where he wanted 8 years, they wanted seven. Like you can't let 1 year be the difference in a deal, and they could have saved themselves a lot of money. They had signed this deal in March, or
Yeah,
as I suggested many times, locking him up after his big rookie season, like a lot of teams tend to do. Except Cashman never does this, or slash Hal, whatever you want to say. The fact yesterday there was so much this, like you said, there was like all this. Nobody's sure. Boone didn't know. Cashman didn't know. Like I didn't like that sound. Like why aren't you in contact with him?
this reminds me very much of, and you'll remember this, when Bernie Williams was probably about 5 minutes away from being a Boston Red Sox, and George Steinbrenner at the final minute said, "There's no way Bernie's going to be a Red Sox," and he overpaid to re-sign Bernie Williams because these players mean more than just the stats on the paper to the organization, and that leads me to we're going to pivot off of Judge. Sander Bogarts, why isn't he back with the Red Sox right now? Like, why isn't pen to paper with Bogarts?
Yeah, I mean, why wasn't this done already? Like a couple of years ago, after what happened with Mookie Betts, I don't understand. Like clearly, this is your guy,
He's the bridge from 2 championship teams.
And they seem to be more into locking up Devers. I'm like, what about he's like you just said, the bridge to these 2 teams? I don't understand. I mean, they just signed a new closer before they signed their star franchise player.
And overpaid for said closer.
Overpaid for said closer.
They gave him 2 years, and I'm sure no one else was giving him more than a year.
Yeah, to pitch at Fenway Park. And which still, I mean, their defense is still atrocious, as we know. I just don't see. I mean, I know they had to remake their bullpen, but to overpay.
Well, apparently their number 1 target in the offseason was Jose Abreu.
Yeah.
Which would have made their defense even worse.
Yeah. So I'm still puzzled here. I mean, but although, as we said, every other year they tend to be good, so somehow they're probably going to be right in the thick of things this year, 2020.
Most likely. Their pitching staff needs a lot of work.
Yeah, there's a lot to do there.
Speaking of pitchers have been hot and heavy free agency. DeGrom with the Rangers. I mean, I pretty much picked them team to team. Once DeGrom signed with the Rangers, I kind of figured Verlander was not going to go there. Because Verlander, as much as he wants to say he wants that spotlight, I mean, granted now he's with Scherzer with the Mets, but I'm sure Scherzer is fine with taking a back seat, at least temporarily, to start the year for Verlander. I just think the really, really odd thing here is the Mets, as much money as they spent, did they actually get better? Did the Mets get better?
It's just this signing alone. That's the question.
Well,
no.
Well, look, they lost DeGrom. They got Verlander. They re-signed Edwin Diaz to that contract. Forget it. It's probably a disaster contract. He's had 1 good year with the Mets since they've traded for him. They signed Quintana today, but they're gonna probably lose Bassett. Who's the other? They lost Taijuan Walker. Who were they replacing?
Their thing seems to be we need to have like the best possible pitchers, which is great, but I mean, what are you doing after your top 2 guys, like you just said? And number 2,
and those are free agent.
Yeah. Do you have enough offense to score runs for said pitchers, which has been a problem with the Mets for the last how many years?
Yeah. And it's not so much offense, it's the timely hitting offense.
Yeah, timely hitting offense, which we know a lot about as Yankee fans, obviously. But yeah, it's been a problem, to say the least.
Now,
have they gotten better? I would just call it kind of like they're pretty much the same, except they have an older pitcher instead of DeGrom, but a guy that's had his surgery already, so you can say he's. I don't know. It's a good question. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, would anybody take a chance? 2 years? It's a 2-year deal. It's better than a 5-year deal. Most people are saying, Texas is going to regret that contract with DeGrom. We'll see. He's younger. I don't know. To me, it was like, he's a great pitcher, possibly the best in baseball over the last 5 years or so. And now he's a bum. He's always hurt because he left the team. I know. I'm just sure we're going to have a lot of Yankee idiot fans on here saying Judge was greedy if he left, or he wasn't that good anyway, or he was hurt all the time, which is bogus, as we know, or all this nonsense about playoff numbers. I'm like, I'll say, show me all the star players in baseball. Let me see their playoff numbers, the ones that have been in the playoffs. Let me see their stat lines.
Everyone's stats drop off.
Yeah,
in the playoffs.
Unless you're like Bryce Harper or Kyle Schwarber this year, or
And well, that's a good segue. So,
yeah,
Trey Turner, 11 years. $300 million.
Yes, sir.
Now, I was like, oh, that's a great contract. Did you know that Trey Turner is 29 years old?
I was not aware of that. Off the top of my head.
I'm like, wait, so now he's going to be 40 by the time that contract is.
Why was it 11 years? I guess just to stretch out the money, the AAV, I assume. But apparently had more on the table from aforementioned San Diego Padres.
Who also had the largest offer to Judge.
Yeah, they're just out there throwing out money I don't know where they're getting it from, but I think I read something before. Like right now, their money allocated is something like 186 million. So it's not really that much. So I can see why they're throwing this money out.
They'll end up with Carlos Correa.
Yeah, I can see that totally right now, 100%.
Because they're just looking to spend the money. They don't want Tatis back at shortstop. But the Phillies, a very interesting club.
Yeah.
You have Harper. Obviously, he's going to be out the first half of the year.
That's going to sting for them,
yeah. He's going to be a DH, and they hope to have him back in right field before the end of the season. But they still have enough offense to get them by, and they added speed. They have like 4 or 5 guys who can steal 20 or 30 bases, and that's with the old rules. Now, with the newer bases, forget it. How many bases is Trey Turner going to steal this year? That's, what, 60, 70? It seems like they're going for a let's get on base, let's steal some bases, old school baseball mentality, which is fun. And why did the Red Sox fire Dave Dombrowski?
I don't know. He must have annoyed somebody. I don't know.
Their new GM thinks that they don't have money, so he doesn't spend it.
Why have multiple people let this guy go? If you think about it over the years, like
that's crazy.
Continues. I mean, yeah. I mean, and the Phillies made it all the way within 2 wins of a World Series last year. So title last year. So I mean,
he built the Marlins into a contender. He built the Tigers into a contender. I'm sure I'm missing some teams here. The Red Sox won a World Series. The Marlins won the World Series. The Tigers were close to winning a World Series.
Should be fun in the NL East next year.
Let's take a look here. Obviously, Judge off the board, DeGrom off the board, Correa. So it's on one of two places. It's either he's going to go back to Minnesota, or the Padres are going to swoop in on him. And if the Padres don't end up getting him, I think the Padres would be in on Dansby Swanson. But the Bogarts is very interesting.
Yeah.
Because he can end up in one of those places as well.
Sure.
Kershaw returned. That was nice to see, considering the other two pitchers, the legend pitchers, went somewhere else in the offseason. Wilson Contreras signed today with the Cardinals, replacing Yadier. It was pretty much, I think most people figured that was going to happen. Rizzo re-upped with the Yankees. So your best pitchers pretty much available, Rodon and Bassett. I would say the Yankees and Mets are in on both of these pitchers.
Sure.
Where do you think Rodon and Bassett end up?
Yeah, I know we talked off there about this. I get the feeling. Reading some of the stuff about all these reporters are talking about with Rodon. There's a lot of interest in the Yankees. There's a lot of mutual interest, apparently. I know they were in on trading for him last year.
They wanted him.
I mean, I know they really want him now. Do they want him to the level they wanted Cole? We have to get him to, like the level they had to re-sign Judge. I guess we'll see. But I have a feeling that they're going to make a real push for him.
I think he's going to end up getting around the DeGrom money, to be honest with you.
I mean, he makes a lot of sense for the Yankees. He makes a lot of sense for the Mets, too.
He's a lefty.
I'll say this. I mean, if
he's had his 2 surgeries.
Yes, that's key. I think Bassett will probably wind up back with the Mets. I don't know. That's my feeling. Especially if Rodon goes elsewhere, if he goes to the Yankees, goes somewhere else. If he doesn't, will the Yankees would they have a look at him? I'm sure. I mean,
Rodon has only been linked really so far to 3 teams.
Yeah,
going back to San Francisco,
which makes sense for them.
The Mets and the Yankees. I haven't heard any other teams in conversation.
Yeah, there's no mystery teams as of yet. Then again, we can never count the Padres out on anything apparently, but I don't think they would make a play for him. Yeah, that's a good, interesting point.
So let's play GM here.
Yeah.
Yankees sign Rodon. Basically, they would be close to tapped out on free agency because they also signed Canley, Tommy Canley back.
Decent
We
contract.
still need a left fielder, and that's what
Yeah.
I said. That's what Brian Cashman said earlier today. He said
Spelled it out.
we have a vacancy in left field. What does that mean? We have a vacancy. I thought we had Aaron Hicks.
Greatest player of all time. Yeah.
So the options for left field for the Yankees: Benintendi, Nimmo. I do not like Nimmo for the Yankees.
Yeah, I don't either.
Where does he fit in the lineup?
Yeah, I don't think they need a guy like him. Benintendi, we saw a small sample size with him. He just got going before he got injured. But I mean, overall, he's a good contact hitter, which they can use.
He's the lefty DJ LeMahieu.
Yeah, which hey, that's a fit. I mean, he's been here. I mean, it was short time. He's been here. I mean, it's a fit.
With Benintendi, it's going to come down to the amount of money he's going to want.
Yeah.
Or you have the other option, which is trading for a player, Brian Reynolds from the Pirates.
Yeah, obviously
I think he's got a couple years left before he's eligible for free agency. I think he's 2 years before arbitration.
Right. I mean, he asked to be traded. Doesn't mean they don't have to, but it should be interesting to see what he would command.
Pirates and Yankees have worked many deals.
Yeah, that's the one thing I could say when I heard that rumor the other day. I'm like, well, that's like their favorite trading partner, as we know.
It takes one shortstop to probably get Reynolds.
Yeah, I would say
that's probably Peraza. Would you do Peraza for Reynolds?
Straight up?
Yeah. Probably. You probably have to throw in a pitcher. Too.
Probably. I mean,
Clark Schmidt. You have to trade Clark Schmidt.
I would trade Clark Schmidt because I don't think he's. I mean, I don't know where.
I think he's mentally shot after that postseason.
Yeah, I think he is too. Would I do it? I want to say yes. 2 years. I mean, it's cheaper. It's probably cheaper. It's
you get better in the outfield.
You get better in the outfield.
You got Judge.
Yes, he's not a contact hitter. Yeah,
Judge Bader,
and Bader. Yeah. I mean, the defense will be fantastic there. Obviously, I know Reynolds had his numbers were a little down offensively last year. We'll see this year with the shift going. I don't know if that had anything to do with it. I know he's not the contact hitter that we talked about with Benintendi. He's more of a power guy. He would hit nicely in the stadium, I'm sure. I mean, if the deal makes sense, then yeah. If it's something where we don't give it, like you said, if you're giving up one, and then I just don't know if they're ready to decide who that one is.
And Yoshida is going to post today from Japan. He's also another rumored target.
Right.
And they said that his I haven't watched much of him, but by all analysis, they said that his style of play would fit Yankee Stadium.
Yeah, I've heard some of that stuff too. I've heard that I don't know if his defense is going to be as good, obviously, as Benintendi, and obviously a Reynolds. But that's a gamble. We haven't always done so well in the international market, and we did well.
We hit with Matsui.
We hit well. We hit the jackpot with Matsui. Well,
rest in peace, Hideki Arabu.
Then again, maybe it was more hitters. Why we had more pitchers? Yeah, we had our old friend Hideki Arabu.
I mean, we wanted Ohtani.
Yeah, I mean they had planned around Ohtani, if I'm not mistaken. That was their whole plan in that offseason.
And Massa was good.
And
people
obviously he's probably our most successful one.
You got to remember
Matsui as far as Japanese players.
Tanaka pitched 6 years with a partially torn UCL.
Right, he pitched well too with that.
Which still baffles my mind as to why the Yankees told him not to get the surgery.
Yeah, I mean, because imagine what he would have been if he had got it. We saw what he looked like. He had to change his style when he first came to the Yankees. He was hard to throw a guy. Yeah, I don't know. It's still a weird thing, and he's still pitching on that arm to this day. But yeah, obviously he was a home run. Turned out to be more than worth the money they gave him. Yeah, it's interesting. It's an interesting thing. Now, speaking of Ohtani, if you want to segue a little bit, he's not going to be traded in this offseason.
They said that, yeah.
We said that. Now, will they change their mind come the break? They should.
They will. They'll probably trade him.
They have to, right?
They did make a move. They signed Tyler Anderson. Is he a world beater? No, he did pitch really well though for the Dodgers.
Yeah.
I mean, really, what the the Angels should do, and this might be an unpopular opinion, it's like, why don't you just trade Trout?
Yeah.
Or you trade both of them.
That's
I get it. It would be desolate in the stadium for a while.
That's the only chance you have to really you can really get a nice package. Obviously, especially if you traded both of them, like you said.
You would get a king's ransom.
King's ransom for either of them.
What's the move that so far you've been like, man, what a weird move?
So far, I'm gonna say
I have one.
I have a couple, but
I'll tell you my number one. Zach Eflin to the Rays.
Yeah, it's gotta be up there.
They struck so quick with that move that I'm like, they must know what they're doing.
Yeah. What numbers? What kind of metrics did they get on this guy? And I said, you have that being said, that he'll probably do well, and they'll trade him for a younger pitcher that they will turn into another star. That's pretty much what the Rays do.
I mean, he had the largest free agency deal in the history of the Rays.
So bizarre. And that wasn't even on anybody's radar, I don't think. I didn't even hear about that. And then when it happened, I said, wait, who signed him?
Rafael Montero also got super overpaid.
Yeah. Wow. All for one good season.
I don't know. I've never seen a World Series team, okay? They didn't bring back their general manager or assistant general manager. What's going on over there?
So there had been some kind of disconnect there. And what it was, I don't know. But, I mean, very strange. You don't see that ever.
They didn't even offer a contract. They were just like, all right, thank you for your time.
Yeah.
Bye.
I don't know who he angered in that office or what, but you don't think he'll get a job? I mean,
they let Carlos Correa go, replaced him with a cheaper option who won the World Series MVP in Pena.
Not enough, apparently.
And then I get it. They signed Jose Abreu. Jose Abreu is 35 years old. He's only going to get worse.
I didn't realize he was that old until I'm like, he's 35 already? Jeez.
Because he was from Cuba. He's
right.
Him, Cespedes, and Gurriel, I think, all came together.
Yeah. He's not a good defensive first baseman, to say the least.
Oh.
I mean, I'm sure he'll mash for him. I'm sure he'll kill the Yankees again because he's on the Astros. But
is he that much better than Trey Mancini?
No.
I get it.
I know they were interested in Rizzo. There was some kind of rumors about they had interest in Rizzo, but
I think that was just to up the Yankee offer.
Yeah, I think they were just messing with us. But yeah, it's puzzling. I mean, let me think what else. I mean,
Tyone. How about Tyone?
Yeah, Tyone getting that kind of money. The fact, first of all, hearing what his market was going to be, and I was like, what? I don't.
Here's all a team has to do. The Yankees, he was pitching well, and they took him out of a ALCS game because they couldn't trust him enough to get through the lineup again. That's all you have to do, and you invested that much money in him. Was it 4 for 68 or something like that?
Yeah. I mean, I think we had 14 wins last year. He's a fine, middle of rotation guy.
At most, he's a number 3 starter.
Yeah, at most, he's number 3. I like him. I liked for what he was. It was a fine pickup. It worked out for him. I mean, but like you said, they didn't trust him enough to get through the lineup. They went up losing the pivotal first game of a series because of it. They didn't pitch him till then. They didn't pitch him in the first round at all, and tried to pitch him in the second.
What about a shocking move? The Guardians woke up. They found money under a
Yes,
mattress to pay Josh Bell.
that came out of nowhere. I know you were thinking when you told me that. Or did I tell you? And you were like, "Oh, okay."
I told you.
You told me. Okay, I was like, that was kind of out of nowhere, right? Yeah, I mean, good for them. I mean, they're going to be a pesky team. They got the manager of the year with them. We know what he can do. So, yeah, I expect them to win the Central again this season.
You do.
I kind of do.
So I go both ways with this one. I think
You think the Twins are going to?
I think the Twins can bounce back, but
I think they can. But
I think the White Sox, without that bad experiment of a manager that they had the last 2 years, could probably bounce back even without
that'll be
Abreu there, because they're loaded in their minors with young hitters. Their pitching staff is really not bad at all.
Yeah, I'd like to see how they respond.
Lou Bob will come back. Eloy will come back. Those guys are just too naturally gifted to have down years again.
Yeah, so what you're saying is the Central's going to be very competitive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think this would be the perfect time for the Guardians, if they do struggle, to sell some players at the deadline.
Maybe.
And the biggest chip will be Shane Bieber.
Yeah. He'll have a huge market at this deadline for sure.
So that's why that deal with Bell is only a 2-year deal, because it's very manageable that they can then trade him if need be.
Right. Okay. That'll be interesting. Let us know in the comments what you think on this situation, on all this stuff, really.
Yeah. What was your biggest, to the audience, the biggest shock to you so far, free agency? There's been a lack of trades, like big names being traded. We haven't seen it.
Yeah, that hasn't happened at all yet, and that's will we see that now that the meetings are over. I mean, sometimes you see it at the meetings. This has been a very active free agent market, but yeah, nothing trade wise really. I mean, there's been a few. I mean, smaller stuff, but what will we see over the next coming months here before we get to spring training? I think I agree with most of your choices. Like today, hearing Jansen to the Red Sox, that kind of came out of nowhere for me. I mean, I guess I should have expected it, but I just was like, what?
I mean, he was probably because he's the best closer available, I guess.
But I don't think it's a good idea to throw money at free agent relievers anymore. In this market, there's too many young arms out there that you can either trade for or develop. I just don't see doing it. I don't see the Yankees ever doing it, at least for a long time, throwing big money at a reliever or any of these other teams. That's why I was shocked to hear that.
Canley got a pretty decent contract, though.
Yeah, he did. I mean, it's not too bad for them.
You know who no one's talking about as a free agent? This is how much he's fallen off of a cliff. Aroldis Chapman. He's literally I haven't even heard a whimper about Aroldis Chapman. Is he going to be one of those guys that come January, February, when he's not signed, he's going to have a tryout, and then all of a sudden he's going to be throwing 103 again? You laugh, but I almost feel like that's in the works.
I could see that for some reason, yeah. That being said, see you later, Aroldis.
He did well at times.
At times, yeah. I wanted to like him. I really did.
I think the thing that killed it for me was in 2019, the walk-off to Altuve.
Yeah.
And just the smirk that he had was just the smile.
Yeah, it's not like when Mariano would sometimes he'd have a smile like, oh, you got me. This was like a smirk, like you said. His body language. I think that was it. I think that kind of effectively started turning like this was it was like the countdown to when he's done here. Just that moment. I mean, the following year when he gives up the home run against the Rays, it's just like.
At some point, we'll get Chad Green back next year.
He is a free agent, though, I do believe, right?
No, after next year.
Next year. Did they offer him a contract?
I'm sure he's going to get arbitration.
Probably. I haven't heard anything about him. He could possibly make it back this year. Obviously, we touched on they did re-sign Canely to a 2-year contract, which I was kind of like I was interested in that. I was like, he's out there. I'm like, he came back last year after the Tommy John with Dodgers. Yeah, it's what is it, 2-year, $12 million? It's a pretty relatively decent contract.
I heard all this talk going into free agency of watch out for the Orioles spending money. Watch out for the Blue Jays spending money. Neither team has spent a single cent yet.
They have not, and yet we've had the Padres offering $40 million to 2 separate players. So it's been.
Well, I don't understand. The Orioles should go out.
Yeah.
Get Dansby Swanson.
Yeah, there you go.
I'm not saying go and get Carlos Correa because God forbid. Get Dansby Swanson. Get a guy who's won.
Right. You got a young team that took a big step forward. Get somebody in there who has a winning attitude.
He's won in college. He's won in the pros.
That'd be a great pickup for them. Yeah, I hope if you guys are listening, I doubt it, but if the Orioles, if you're listening, that's the guy you want to go talk to.
Cody Bellinger.
Yeah.
What are the Cubs doing?
That maybe I'll put that on my list as kind of like I knew some people would take a flyer, but the Cubs?
He hasn't been good for 3 years.
And,
which is crazy. Overall, Frank, as far as the Bellinger, a lot of teams were actually in on him. He's a great defender, but would you pay, I don't know, $18 million for a good defender?
No. We're already paying $20-something million for a good defender at third base. Not another guy that's essentially turned into Joey Gallo 2.0. Which is insane considering Bellinger, how many years ago even a couple of years ago.
What was it, the same year as Judge, wasn't it? 2017?
Yeah. He was like the golden child out there in LA.
And I actually think Bellinger is best suited to play first base.
Mm.
But he's an attractive option in the outfield.
I just don't understand the Cubs doing it. And I think before, months ago, when we talked about the Judge sweepstakes, we thought that the Cubs would have a hand at it. They didn't even make a play, I don't think.
No.
So, what are they doing? Not much. Giving Taillon a contract and Bellinger a 1-year deal, I don't know.
So they got Bellinger, they got Taillon. They lost Wilson Contreras, which was a debacle.
Yes.
You knew you were going to lose him.
And they didn't trade him.
You didn't trade him. You get I guess they gave him the qualifying offer.
They'll get the draft pick, yeah. So
they'll get the draft pick. But why put your fan base through that? You should have just traded him.
I don't know what they're doing. It's like they're happy they finally won it all, and now they're just, well, we tried.
They do have some talent on their team, but it's going to be another 3 years before they're relevant again. Especially when you have a team like the Cardinals who just
consistently
they hit on the Goldschmidt trade, they hit on the Arenado trade. Oh, you want to give us your franchise player? Cool.
Okay.
We'll take them.
We'll take them.
I'm surprised. Besides the Contreras move, the Cardinals really haven't done anything.
Yeah. I'm wondering now with all this stuff over and certain people off the board, will we start seeing some rapid signings? Are we going to get a lull period here over the next month so we get to the new year? I don't know.
Well, you have guys out there who are a little bit older. You have
you got people.
we had Martinez.
Yeah, Martinez is out there. I was going to say they showed Nelson Cruz was at the meetings looking to get a job.
Justin Turner.
I heard Puig showed up trying to get work. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of people looking for work.
I think Yoshida is probably. I think Nemo is probably waiting for Yoshida to get posted
Probably,
to
yeah.
see where he ends up going,
Market is.
and then Nemo will sign.
Yeah,
Nemo would be a good fit for the Blue Jays, considering they traded Teoscar Hernandez. They do have an opening in the outfield.
right. What else happened? Let's see. The Giants did sign Mitch Haniger. I'm trying to think of other moves that happened.
Which is fine for what they're doing because they like to play matchups, and he's going to
Yeah.
kill left-handed. He's
I
going to
mean,
kill the
apparently they
left-handed.
wanted him anyway. Like he was part of their plans, even if even if they didn't get judged. So it's not like that was like the consolation prize for them. So
Now, I guess the big question, we've talked about this as far as getting back to the Yankees. Gleyber Torres is free agent after this year.
right.
Do you trade him for the sake of trading him, or do you trade him for need? So we
Yeah.
were talking about the Pirates, right? Do you trade Gleyber Torres for Reynolds? Do you do that trade? I wouldn't, because
No, I wouldn't. Right
there
now.
was something about Gleyber at the end of the year. I don't know what it was. There was a little bit of urgency with him. Like he saw the light, and he was
Yeah.
like, "Man, I want to stay here."
Right.
And I think if we were to trade him, we would regret it.
Yeah. Also, right now, there's this question of DJ's health. Like we're hearing multiple different reports about is he going to be ready for the season? Boone said, "Oh, he feels great," but then you hear something about maybe he still needs surgery. I don't know. That's why I don't see him doing it right now. Not just for the sake of doing it. I know we talked about it on the show multiple times that we thought they had to move on from him, but I wouldn't do it just for the sake of doing it. I would do it for an actual need, maybe.
Yeah.
And
Now-
not for Reynolds though. But during the season, if they need something, and he's the piece to get it done, we'll talk about it then. But right now, I think they need him, and hopefully, you're right. Hopefully, he has a little bit of urgency, and he carries it into this next season.
We've glossed over this. I think it was shocking that DeGrom got 5 years from the Rangers.
That's a big. That was kind of stunning when you messaged me and I was out of the mood. So like 5 years.
5 years.
And what?
Here's my thing. The Mets. Stevie Cohen, wasn't he a Met fan? Wasn't he a Met fan? Like that's why he bought the Mets. He was a Met fan.
I was understanding.
And he knows the history of the Mets. Why wouldn't you bring back your second best homegrown pitcher that you've ever had?
I guess the number of years.
Okay, but they've shown last year that they overpaid on Scherzer,
right?
AAV. Why couldn't you have given DeGrom 3 for $150 just to go, hey, we don't want to give you 5, but we will pay you. We'll make you the highest paid player in baseball.
Yeah, and instead they do not, and then they basically start a smear campaign because I'm hearing all this stuff like, oh, he wasn't liked, he wasn't really being friendly. Now the fans, certain people that I saw were calling him the greatest. He's the GOAT, he's the greatest, and now he's a bum that's always hurt. So what is
it? But then they turn around and they give Verlander 43 per year.
So you give a guy older than him more money, and you gave all that money to Diaz for one good season, as we said. I mean, I know you sold a lot of T-shirts and a lot of trumpets or whatever you sold this year, but when it came down to the bottom line, did that help you in the postseason?
No, because Scherzer got lit up. And you know why? You know what happened? They should have started DeGrom game 1.
As you said right here on the show. And the guy that actually won a game in the postseason for him is now on the Texas Rangers. Now, the Rangers...
It's a great move because I was thinking about this before the show. I go, you know what? If he can't last as a starter beyond 2 or 3 years, he will have enough in his repertoire to then become a reliever and probably a closer.
Oh, yeah.
Where then
that can extend his career for sure.
They have Jack Leiter coming up.
Mm-hmm.
They have Kumar Rocker coming up.
Right.
They need the veteran there, the ace, to teach these young kids how to do it. So it was a beneficial move for the friend, and they got Bochy there now as a manager.
Yeah.
They want to win. They're not going to win next year, but they're going to be a contender within the next 2 or 3 seasons.
I think he's going to surprise some people. And everybody's like they're acting like this guy's done. Like, again, I understand there's a lot of anger, there's a lot of bad feelings. I mean, yeah, I understand. I mean, there was a lot of Yankee fans ready to call Judge, oh, he's just a bum because he was leaving. That's natural emotions. But you should have made a bigger play to save your franchise players.
Have they had a press release yet thanking him for his service or anything?
No. Instead, what we got is, like I said, stories. Oh, he wasn't staying after games. He wasn't doing that. I'm like, really? This is where we're going.
But
the guy that you told me was the greatest who ever lived, like millions of times, I had to hear him. I didn't disagree. I thought he was great.
No, he was. And if he would have stayed healthy in 2021, he would have had the greatest season a pitcher's ever had in the modern era.
Do people think he's done? He's not going to do well. I know he's going to the American League. You don't think he can dominate again in Texas? I do. We'll see, but
he's going to be pitching in warmer weather to start the year.
Absolutely, yeah. So he's going to be in. Look out for him this year in the Cy Young standings. I'll just say that.
Look, I mean, Garrett Cole was probably 3 better starts away from being in the Cy Young conversation. Verlander won it, but he won it because of the ERA.
Sure.
Oh, by the way, I know I sound like I always knock Ohtani on this show. Where did Ohtani place in the Cy Young vote? Do you remember?
I do not.
Let me look it up.
As I still see daily people trying to complain to me that he should have been MVP. Well, we've detailed in the show multiple times why that's not the case. And why
the writers agreed.
The writers agreed.
One.
But that's okay. There's always one. There's always one. I'm sure we'll find out who it is, too. Just like we heard who didn't vote for
Jeter.
Come on.
I'm looking it up.
And again, we're not knocking Ohtani. I put him number 1 on my list when we did our top 25. So
all right, let me put him up on the screen here. Well, what comes after 3? What number? 4. That's where he finished.
Yeah, behind Manoah, which I think is highly overrated.
Okay, so actually the shocker, to be honest with you, was that this guy.
Yeah,
should have been here.
He was on one of our favorites. Nestor got 3 points. Good for Nestor.
This was we called that one.
Yeah. They would say they won't trade him either, so but we'll see that.
But yeah, I mean, that's the free agency far in a nutshell. Winter meetings, not a lot of trades. I'm shocked.
Maybe we'll see some more stuff coming up, but winter meetings are over now, I think, after today. So people are going back home. Aaron Judge went to Hawaii, apparently.
Well deserved.
Good for him. Relax, enjoy, come back, sign your contract officially.
You could tell he didn't want to leave. If he wanted to leave, he could have went scorched earth on them.
Yeah. I said from the get-go when he wanted to negotiate with them before the season. Like, he didn't want to be a free agent. So what does that tell you?
It's the same thing with Jeter. Jeter didn't want to leave.
He played it well. I mean, David Cohn on his podcast today was talking about that. Like, they'll be teaching a class one day on how him and his agents handled this.
Now, before we sign off here, you're Brian Cashman, you're Hal Steinbrenner. What would you do to finish out this Yankee offseason? Like, what are the moves to make them better than Houston?
That's the $1 million question.
Because they're still going to be competitive without Verlander.
Oh yeah,
they basically won the World Series without Verlander because he struggled in the postseason. So,
yeah, I mean, they're still going to be good. I mean, I think right now they're even the Vegas favorites still, slightly over the Dodgers. What do you have to do? Well, we've identified our areas of need. We know we need a left fielder. We know we need another starting pitcher. That is it just will make you better than Houston. You have to be able to hit.
So what's your rotation? Who are you slotting in?
Yeah.
They have to sign at least one free agent pitcher.
Yeah.
Who are you signing?
I'm okay. I'm going for Rodon because he's a left-handed power pitcher. I know they're talking about he wants something like 6 years. We'll hear about this, but I mean he's that. Like you said, he had his surgeries already, so I'm not worried about that.
He's only 30.
He's only going to be 30, so I mean you kind of need that left-handed power pitcher there towards the top of your rotation.
He doesn't have that much innings on him because he missed 2 full seasons.
I mean, you can slot him between him, Cole, and him, Sevy,
Nestor.
Well, I mean, we don't think he'll have another. Who knows what Nestor will be next year? I believe. I didn't want to believe it.
Who he can be? He can be R.A. Dickey 2.0.
Yeah, exactly. And then after that, we'll figure out the rest. I mean, they obviously still have Montas, but we'll see what he can give us this year. I don't know.
They might be able to trade him.
They might be able to trade him. We'll see. I mean, you still have Herman who could slide in there when you need him. You still have currently Schmidt, but I think they should move on from him as we.
I think he's going to be he's going to get moved to the Pirates.
Yeah, that would be most likely to happen. Yeah, I mean, what else can you make? They're not going to make any more bullpen moves. Obviously, we don't think. Hopefully, they get Michael King back at some point here. Sounds like he's doing well. Chad Green, yeah, possibly might see him this year. Efros, no. Marinaccio, let's see what he does this year. Lasagna, it'll be interesting to see.
So we need a left fielder.
We don't know who our closer is. They'll figure it out.
So we sign Rodon.
Get the left fielder done via trade.
We're going to have to either trade for Reynolds or you bring back Benintendi. Right. And you bring back Benintendi because he can perform on the big stage.
Right. That
we don't know if Brian Reynolds can.
You don't know. I know he's the more attractive move, more tempting move. I wouldn't be mad if they got him, but yeah, we do know. Yeah, I mean, Benintendi.
Or if Yoshida posts at a really affordable price, do you
take a chance on him? Yeah.
Do you take the chance?
I don't know. It's intriguing. Like I said, I don't know about his defense. I'm hearing that he's not the best defender. And I think we need to have somebody who can both hit whatever well and
so then
the defense.
You answered it. You'd bring back Benintendi.
Yeah, that's probably the smartest move
because he can bat leadoff for you if you want,
right?
Or you can bat down in the lineup.
And he can handle the left field. We've seen him do it. So
when LeMahieu comes back, he can be super sub with the other Cabrera kid, and everyone will get days off. And I think that's the most competitive team you can have.
Yeah, we've got guys that can play most
positions. The back end of the bullpen still scares me.
Yeah,
because Clay Holmes didn't have it. Is Wandy going to be as good as he was last year?
I don't know.
It's a crapshoot for them.
That's one question.
They had the third best bullpen ERA in baseball, and I go, but check in August, September, and October.
Right. Yeah, I heard Boone saying something about, I thought he was looking more like himself at the end of your Clay, and then which begs the question: then why did you pitch him in Cleveland in Game 3? But that's neither here nor there. But we'll never know how that would have affected the LCS. They were still going to lose it, but maybe they would have won a game. We don't know. They have to figure that out. Now, I didn't think they were going to go make a big free agent signing. I did not recommend them signing Jansen. I didn't think that would be a smart move. Because he was the only real big closer out there. I mean, Robertson's still out there, I think. Right?
Yeah.
So
they might be able to take a flyer on someone, but
yeah, maybe. Or will there be somebody in the minors that comes up and makes a big push? We don't know. We hope. Can Marinaccio take a step even more forward? Maybe. We hope so. He looked good. I mean, he looked good. I mean, but we don't know. Anything can happen, but that's the question.
Efros was a big loss.
Yeah. That hurts them that they took. And I understand why they made the move. Many years of control, the sidearm action. He was an interesting.
He was who was that guy?
He reminds me of
the guy pitched for the Mets, pitched for the Orioles.
Oh,
you know who I'm talking about.
Oh, damn.
He had the really low delivery.
Yeah. But yeah, he's kind of like that kind of style. So they're going to miss him this year. I don't think he's going to make it back this year. Obviously, Britton's gone. He's out there looking for work.
It was like almost submarine.
Yeah, which is
Oh God, who was it?
O'Day? Not O'Day, right? O'Day was with the Yankees.
Yep. No, you're right. It was
Remember
Darren
O'Day?
O'Day.
so
Yeah,
we had him briefly a year ago before he got hurt.
yeah. That dude was
Yeah.
lights out.
It's like he was throwing from his ankles. But yeah, that's my concern. Like I said, I think they're going to address this starting and then the left field. They're going to obviously address this over the next couple of weeks or days. Now the bullpen, we don't know. That's going to have to figure itself out.
There's one guy I do not want to see in pinstripes. Michael Conforto.
Yeah, I don't know if anybody bring that up, please don't.
That guy,
Please.
number one, he's a Boris client.
Yeah.
2, we know that there was some locker room issues with him.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah, I don't even want to think about hear his name mentioned.
you have to get the right locker room fit. You already know Benintendi would fit in the locker room.
Right. He spent 3 months here. He knows these guys. So I mean, you'd see how close these guys are. Judge coming back, you saw the reactions of his teammates. You saw Nestor following around the other night at the football game. These guys are tight.
Yeah, and that's good. That's good.
Good
And
thing.
I think for them, it's great to see because they need that camaraderie
Obviously,
beat
they
Houston.
do have it.
to beat
Yes.
Houston.
Because that's it. If they have to be able to beat them if they're ever going to go anywhere. We've said it all last season, but it's still
That's
really
why
good.
whatever money they have, and all you do is you re-sign Judge, you get the best younger free agent pitcher.
You got to do it.
That's what you got to do.
They did it. They've done it before. We've seen it before. We saw.
And then you have enough in your farm system. If you need another pitcher, you need another bat, you can trade for them at the deadline this year. Don't get the wrong person.
Yeah, when we talked about it last year, they had to go on last year, and they kind of didn't. Well, you have another shot here. So here's your shot. East could be very competitive this year. So yeah, you have a shot again. Don't blow it again. But we shall see. But yeah, you kind of have to. You're going all in by re-signing Judge. I mean, all this guy needs is one World Series ring, and he's like on top, one of the top guys of all time on the team. Obviously, going to be one of the more beloved guys.
So considering he's going to be 31
Yeah,
at some point during the season.
Yeah,
he's got 220-ish home runs.
Yeah, I think around 220.
He plays all 9 seasons, hits 30 home runs per year. He's close to 500.
Mm-hmm.
All in a Yankee uniform.
Yeah, I mean it's worth. I think that's part. I think that weighed heavily on his mind too.
He'd be a Hall of Famer.
I mean,
even if he hits over 400 home runs,
and he's a lifetime Yankee, yeah, that'll be. I mean, no, we talk about the Yankee bias, but when it comes to that, that's gonna play big.
Yeah. Well, I think that's all we have for this show.
Yes.
Like, comment, subscribe.
Please, guys, let us know what you think. Glad to be back. Like I said, hope you're enjoying your Christmas season or whatever holiday you celebrate. Have a good month.
Celebrate Kwanzaa.
Yes, everything. We'll see you guys real soon. So thanks again. See ya.
Take care.